Hi, my name is Bethany Cook and welcome to the Be Cook Show. Today, joining us, we have the lovely Murriel Wiley and Lev Willie. Let's get started. So, Murriel, you have a problem with the lack of diversity in ownership. Why don't you share more about that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to professional sports teams, there's definitely a lack in diversity. If you look at the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and the MLB, there's always just a handful of owners of color. They're always over age 40 or 50, and they're almost always Caucasian.
Well, do you think that maybe because the owners do have to approve the new owners, that maybe they just don't want to keep a change? They like having males all around them, older, so that they just understand their morals?
Yeah, there may definitely be an issue with that if they're not willing to open their mind up and let different people from different backgrounds come in. Then that definitely would be why. And I think it's kind of sad because, you know, there should be, this is 2015, there should be so many opportunities for people, but in the NBA alone, Michael Jordan is the only majority owner who's a person of color. Everyone else is either a partial owner and doesn't really have a lot of decision making or stake in anything. So, and the NHL only has one Asian owner. There's no blacks, there's no women. It's just all Caucasian men. And I think that when you have people of different backgrounds, it brings different perspectives, and that's a good thing.
You do have a great point.
And including, teams like, the Dodgers with Magic Johnson and even the Washington Nationals, they have an overall board of 5 women and 6 black men that are all consisting along with some white men that make the decisions for their team. So I think you're starting to see it turn into more a diverse, overall sports genre, but it'll probably take a little bit longer.
You're right, we do have a little bit more work on that. Well, let's move on. The next topic is whether pro athletes should be paid multi-million-dollar salaries. You have to take David Price, for example, who just signed a $31 million contract for playing 20% of the games as a starting pitcher. What's your opinion on that?
I think players are paid at a rate that it gives them the amount of money they need, and then it'll fall off. It's kind of like a rise, and then it instantly falls off at one point. Unless you're like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, you make this endless amounts of money that everyone just dreams of making. A middle-class home makes around $54,000, and if you average out how much that person makes playing 8 seasons of football, eventually that evens out to around that much. And we're kind of overhyping it, about how much they make, because even if you go down to arena football and stuff, they make $830 per game, and that's about how much a person makes a week, because 1 game a week, so it's not that much.
Good point. Muriel, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that they definitely do deserve to make a high amount because they physically wear out their bodies and they do such taxing responsibilities. But I also think that you have to do it player by player basis. And that's really important because, for example, Ryan Mallett of the Texans, he was making $1.7 million to sit on the bench, and he only played a handful of games. So does dude really need $1 million to sit on the bench?
Well, you do need to look at the skill aspect. How many people do you know that can throw a perfect 70-yard spiral or run a 4.28 second 40-yard dash and catch a ball?
Not me. That's why I'm not in the NFL, so.
Well, let's move on. Our last topic is whether the SEC should still be considered a superior league. Lev, what's your opinion on that?
I think it's about to be time for the Big 12 and Big 10 to finally take over. The SEC, if you can look back at the national champion, the last time it wasn't Alabama or Auburn, it was in 2008 when it was Florida. So Alabama was just kind of like a one-man show for the SEC, and all the other teams have underperformed really over these past few years. LSU can arguably say they get up, but every single team is overranked and then ends up falling off. And teams like Oklahoma State, even North Carolina now, and just various teams, even Florida State, they're all coming back to prominence and putting the SEC back to an average along with everyone else. They're all starting to even out.
Well, if you look at the NFL roster, it's clear that the SEC dominates. Last year they had 49 players drafted, 11 went first-round pick, and the year before, the SEC had a breaking 63% drafted.
That's true, but also we're not seeing the production of all these athletes that are coming in now. This is going back these past few years of all these players that are still part of this league, and all those SEC players are within that 7-year stretch. And even now, they're all starting to come out. So this is the ending of it. And I think the Big 12 and the Big 10, even the ACC, are all starting to give away players that are about as equal to SEC.
That's definitely true right now because an AC team with Clemson and a Big Ten team with Ohio, those are the undefeated teams right now. So definitely highlights go to them. Shout out to them for, proving that they're capable more than just the SEC. The SEC is not the only contender.
Some great discussions there. Well, thanks for joining us, Lev Murriel on the B Cook Show. We'll see you next time.